Sometimes people hit a point where they look at their life and think, why is everything so expensive? And why does it all feel so tiring? You're not alone. More and more Americans are quietly reaching that same moment, and they're discovering towns where life actually feels livable again. If you've ever thought, there has to be somewhere better than this, you might be right. And today, we're exploring 10 places that prove it. Before we jump in, consider subscribing if you want more videos that help you understand where the best, most livable parts of America are quietly emerging. Across the country, more people are starting to look at their daily lives and quietly ask themselves whether things have to feel this difficult. It's not about dramatic decisions or big life changes. It's usually something simpler, like noticing how expensive basic things have become, or how draining long commutes feel, or how weekends no longer bring any real rest. You hear people say things like, "I just want life to feel normal again," and that thought sticks with them more than they expect. Little by little, they start paying attention to places they once ignored. Some families begin comparing what their current rent buys them versus what a mortgage would cost somewhere else. Young couples realize that owning a home isn't impossible, just impossible where they currently live. Retirees look for places where their savings stretch a little further instead of disappearing into bills. And people who work remotely suddenly understand that they don't have to stay in cities that no longer serve them. It doesn't feel like running away. It feels like choosing a lifestyle that actually fits. You can see the shift most clearly in the conversations people have with each other. Someone mentions a smaller city they visited and says, "It was quieter, but in a good way." Someone else talks about how they checked home prices in a random town out of curiosity and were surprised by what they found. Another person says they're tired of feeling rushed from the moment they wake up. These comments aren't complaints. They're small signs that people want their days to feel more balanced, more affordable, and less overwhelming. As this mindset spreads, towns that used to sit quietly in the background are starting to catch people's attention, not because they're flashy or trending, but because they offer something people are craving: stability, a calmer pace, a sense of community that doesn't feel forced. The kind of environment where raising a family, saving money, or simply enjoying a slower lifestyle feels genuinely possible. These are towns where you can finish a workday and actually relax instead of spending the night recovering from stress. And that's why more Americans are beginning to look beyond the places they've always known. They're realizing that a better life doesn't require major sacrifices or unrealistic dreams. Sometimes it just means choosing a town that supports your well-being instead of draining it. A place where the cost of living makes sense, the pace of life feels human, and the everyday routines that used to feel impossible finally become manageable. That quiet shift is already shaping where people are heading next, and it's changing the map in ways that feel genuine and long overdue. When you look at the towns people are moving to today, the first thing you notice is how ordinary they seem at first glance. They're not the places that show up on national rankings or trendy travel lists. They're places someone usually discovers because a friend moved there, or because they stopped for gas on a road trip and thought, this place actually feels pretty nice. And that's the interesting part. The towns gaining new attention aren't trying to impress anyone. They're simply offering a life that feels practical, affordable, and steady. Town 1 is the kind of place where people say things like, "I didn't even know this town existed until we drove through it." It's calm, clean, and easy to navigate. Housing isn't a battle, and you can still find a solid home without competing with 20 other buyers. Schools feel personal, not overcrowded. And on weekends, you see families at the local park, not rushing anywhere. What draws people here isn't one big feature. It's the combination of small things that make daily life smoother. The rent isn't crushing. Groceries don't feel like a shock every time. And the town has enough to do without feeling overwhelming. It's the kind of place where people stay because, for once, everything feels manageable. This first town is Greenville, South Carolina, a place that proves you don't need a big city to live a big life. The next town has a different rhythm. It's the kind of place where someone might show up for a short visit, look around and say, "I could actually see myself living here." There's a young, steady energy because of the university. But it never feels overwhelming. People care about community, local shops feel personal, and life moves at a pace that lets you breathe. Housing is reasonable, jobs are reliable, and the town has just enough growth to feel exciting without losing its small city warmth. What surprises most newcomers is how quickly they settle into a routine, how natural it feels to slow down without feeling left behind. This second town is Fayetteville, Arkansas, a place that's quietly becoming one of the most livable small cities in the country. Then there's the kind of place that captures people before they even settle in. They arrive, look out over the water or the surrounding hills, and say something like, "I didn't know places like this still existed." Life here leans heavily toward the outdoors, and the scenery naturally slows everything down. Homes feel more spread out, mornings feel quieter, and even simple errands feel peaceful. It attracts people who want more space. Not just physically, but mentally. People who are leaving behind the noise, the rush, and the constant pressure of bigger metros. There's a sense of calm here that's hard to describe until you experience it yourself. This third town is Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, a place where the pace of life finally matches the way people want to feel. These three towns each offer something different, but all in ways that matter right now. Places where living feels doable, where stress doesn't dominate every day, and where people can imagine building a stable future without sacrificing their well-being. Some towns don't try to impress you at all. They just feel steady from the moment you arrive. You notice it in the way people casually greet each other at the gas station, or how the local diners still have regulars who've been coming for years. There's an ease in the air. Not sleepy, just settled. Housing remains practical, groceries aren't shocking, and the town feels organized without losing its personality. Visitors often say things like, "It's not flashy, but it feels right." And that simple comfort is exactly what makes the place stand out. This fourth town is Johnson City, Tennessee, a place built on stability, not spectacle. Then there are towns where the scenery hits you before anything else does. You take one drive through the area and suddenly understand why more people are moving in. Rolling hills, open fields, and clean neighborhoods blend into a lifestyle that feels healthier without even trying. Homes stay affordable, commutes are short, and people describe life here with phrases like, "It's just easier here. Everything feels closer and calmer." This is the kind of place where someone comes for a weekend and ends up browsing real estate apps by Sunday afternoon. This fifth town is Rogers, Arkansas, a growing community that still feels grounded and welcoming. Another town has a rhythm that feels almost nostalgic, not outdated, just peaceful in a way people forgot they needed. Downtown is small but well kept. Local shops still know their customers, and the neighborhoods look like the kind of places people actually raise families in. Newcomers often say, "It reminds me of how things used to feel when life wasn't so complicated." The cost of living remains reasonable, and the town doesn't push you to rush through your days. It's the kind of place where a simple routine suddenly feels like a luxury. This sixth town is Dubuque, Iowa, a community where calm and consistency still matter. And then there are towns that sit right on the edge of nature, offering a blend of adventure and everyday comfort. It's the place where a quick afternoon walk can turn into a moment that resets your entire week. People move here because they want easier access to the outdoors without giving up the benefits of a functioning small city. Locals say things like, "You don't realize how much the environment matters until you live here." Housing is still within reach, the town feels safe, and life naturally finds a balanced rhythm. This seventh town is Bend, Oregon, a destination for people who want their lifestyle to feel refreshing, not exhausting. Each of these four towns offers a different style of living, but all share the same quiet promise: a life that feels more manageable, more affordable, and more connected to what people genuinely want today. Some towns don't stand out on a map, but once you arrive, something about them feels immediately steady. You notice it in the way the neighborhoods are kept, how the parks feel cared for, and how people seem genuinely relaxed when they talk about living there. Newcomers often say things like, "It's not huge, but it has everything I actually use," and that practical comfort ends up meaning more than any major attraction. Housing prices stay surprisingly grounded, and the atmosphere feels mature without being dull. It's the kind of town where people settle in almost accidentally. This eighth town is Sioux Falls, South Dakota, a place where everyday life works the way it should. Then there are towns shaped by water, where the river or lake becomes part of the lifestyle without ever feeling forced. People move here not because they want a vacation vibe, but because the surroundings naturally encourage slower days and clearer thinking. Someone might visit and say, "I didn't expect it to feel this peaceful," and that single moment can shift how they imagine their future. Housing is a mix of older charm and newer builds, still priced in a way that doesn't shut people out. The whole town feels like a reminder that nature can be part of your daily life, not an escape you squeeze in once a year. This ninth town is La Crosse, Wisconsin, a place where the landscape and the lifestyle blend effortlessly. And then there are towns that feel almost like a reset button. You show up, walk around, and instantly sense that life here moves at a pace you can actually keep up with. Nothing feels rushed, but nothing feels abandoned either. People describe it with simple phrases like, "It just feels good here." And those small, honest reactions are usually the most telling. Costs are still reasonable, the local economy is steady, and the town has a way of making newcomers feel like they belong long before they learn the street names. This 10th town is Junction, Colorado, a place where balance feels built into the everyday routine. Across all these towns, the common thread isn't size or geography. It's the feeling they give people, that life doesn't have to be stressful to be meaningful, and that a good home, a steady community, and a manageable pace can matter more than anything flashy. As more Americans rethink what they want from their future, towns like these are becoming the quiet answer to a question many didn't even know they were asking. Where can life finally feel like life again?